Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gerard McClellan from the SAGE Committee. Today we're thankful to have a guest. His name is Seth Pickering from the Department of Energy Resources here in Massachusetts. And he's here today to give us a presentation for Green Community, what's involved with it, how it will help our town, and some of the things that are outlined inside of it. So as we go forth with the presentation, we're going to send it over to Seth, and we'll go through the slides, and hopefully afterwards we'll have a couple of questions and so forth. But in the meantime, if you have any questions or comments for what this show, what's going on with this show, or anything else that the SAGE Committee does, please feel free to go to our SAGE website. There's a contact form there that you can fill out, send us an email, and it'd be great to receive some comments and or questions. So at this point, we're going to go through the presentation, and we thank you for joining us.
I want to thank Gerard and SAGE for having me here today to talk about the programs that are available through the Department of Energy Resources Green Communities Division here in Massachusetts. So whenever we're ready, we can put up the presentation, and I will move through this pretty quickly. Okay, so there's my title. I'm the Southeast Regional Coordinator of the Green Communities Division here in Massachusetts. And what we do is we work with all the cities and towns here in Massachusetts to help them reduce the amount of energy that they're using. Cleaner energy is part of our future. The Patrick administration, during the Patrick administration, there's been a number of legislative items that have come through, including the Green Communities Act, the Global Warming Solutions Act, and the Green Jobs Act. And the Green Communities Act actually created the Green Communities Division. And again, as I said before, the Green Communities Division's charge is to work as the energy hub for all matters that are energy related for cities and towns here in the Commonwealth. Okay, so we have a number of different resources and programs that are available, including the Green Communities Grant Program, which is our flagship program. We offer other types of assistance, owner's agent technical assistance. We have free energy tracking software called Mass Energy Insight that we recommend that any and all towns take part in. You don't need to be a green community to use it. And we have other things, including some funding and informational tools, including the MEG program that towns can take advantage of. Okay. Briefly, Green Communities Grant Program. To become designated, a town must fulfill 5 different requirements. They are listed here. Take a look at them. The first 2 are zoning related. They require the town to do as-of-right siting with a number of different options. It also requires, under criteria 2, that there be an expedited permitting process for anything that is subject to that zoning. The third requirement is the establishment of an energy reduction plan by the town over a 5-year period, where the town's goal would be to reduce energy usage as an entity by 20%. The fourth requirement is that the town must adopt, and the school department must also adopt, an energy efficient fuel vehicle purchasing policy. And the fifth requirement is a more energy efficient building code here in town that is known as the Energy Stretch Code. Here's an easy flow chart to identify how a town can get into the process of seeking green community designation. It's pretty self-explanatory. First of all, get information on what the program is. Talk to the local community leaders, especially the elected officials, and see if the town would like to move forward. And once the town has decided to do that, there's an application process that I'm available to help all of my 84 cities and towns with. Once you apply, you hopefully become designated and you become eligible for our grants. I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on the different criteria. As-of-right siting is only required for one of the alternatives that are listed there on the screen. It's not all, so the town does have some leeway in terms of which one they might choose. Quite a few of the towns in my region have decided to do renewable energy generation as of right siting for things like solar power. All the local permitting in town would have to accommodate those types of projects within a 12-month period. Most towns already have this process in place. Others have decided to do a separate or as part of the first criteria bylaw to put that actually into the bylaws. But so those permits would be things like building permits, Conservation Commission permits, things of that nature, and it only requires the town to give an answer within a year. It does not require any type of presumptive approval. The third criteria is something that I recommend that all of my towns do, whether they're going to seek the designation or not, and that requires the town to create an energy use baseline for the town, and once that baseline is established, the town has got to come up with a plan to reduce that baseline by 20% over a 5-year period. That plan can include some measures that have already been taken by the town if they haven't been done too far in the past. And it would also allow your utilities here in Abington, that would be National Grid Electric, and I also understand that National Grid Gas, and there's some Columbia here in Abington. But those utilities are required by their energy efficiency plans to also do a number of audits and studies here in town on the municipal buildings that we could get done free of charge to the town to help establish that baseline, and then also identify the measures that might help you work on that 20% reduction plan. That talks about all your buildings, that's all vehicles in town, that's schools, municipality, street lights, everything that is an energy bill for the town of Abington. This is just a graphic that shows some of the things that the Mass Energy Insight Program can actually do. Abington actually has authorization to use it. We just need to see if we can get a little more integrated into the details of it. More Mass Energy Insight stuff. We can go to the next slide. Okay, on fuel-efficient vehicles, the town and the schools would have to adopt policies. We have model policies at my department's website to purchase only fuel-efficient vehicles for municipal use whenever such vehicles are commercially available or practical. This really only applies to administrative vehicles in nature. It does not apply to some of the things you can see on the screen. Police cruisers, fire and other emergency vehicles, and any heavy-duty equipment. Any vehicle that has a gross vehicle weight of 8,500 pounds or greater are exempt. And the last requirement is the minimization of life cycle costs for construction, residential and industrial commercial here in town, which would require the adoption of what's known here in Massachusetts as the Stretch Energy Code. It's an optional appendix to the existing energy building code here in Massachusetts, and that would have to be done through a town meeting vote. Just a little background on the program. We just designated 13 cities and towns here recently, back in December. We're up to 123 in total. And the most recent here in my region were Acushnet and Plimpton. And as you can see, a few of your neighbors are already green communities: Bridgewater, Hanover, Kingston, just to name a few, including Situate. Okay, on the stretch code adoption, we're up to 134 cities and towns, and even more of your neighbors are in the mix here, including Hanson and Pembroke. And so with the 134 municipalities that have adopted the stretch code, that brings the total population of stretch code communities here in Massachusetts to over 50% of the population of the Commonwealth. Okay, so this is just a quick background on if Abington decides to pursue designation. The grants are a base of $125,000 a year with adders based on certain things. There's a formula that's put into place. It's a pretty standard Department of Revenue formula that goes by per capita income compared to the state mean and also population. But to date, we've dispersed almost $30 million in grant money, and that is since 2010. And that last bullet identifies some of the things that we've paid for with those grants. Again, I touched on this. There's municipal energy efficiency programs here in Massachusetts that not just the town can take advantage of, but also residents and businesses here in town. But on municipal energy, National Grid Electric and Gas and Columbia Natural Gas could make audits and then rebates and incentives available to the town to help pay for energy saving measures. The Department of Energy Resources is also a resource for energy management services if the town is thinking about possibly doing a performance contract. Not all towns do this, but some do it if they have capital expenditures that are going to be so high that it's difficult to afford them in the short term. Just another graphic on Mass Energy Insight. Really very powerful free tool that helps the town identify where they're using their energy and how much they're using. One more Mass Energy Insight graphic. Here is my contact information and my director's contact information. I work out of the Lakeville DEP office, really right down the road from here in Abington. I'm available whenever and however the town may need me, which includes doing community outreach meetings and things of the like. But if anybody has any questions that they'd like to direct to me after seeing this presentation, feel free to either contact me through my email, which is up on the screen, or my phone number, which is my number at the DEP office in Lakeville.
Well, thank you very much, Seth. Much appreciated.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have a couple of questions. The first one is, as far as the town goes, the SAGE committee, we've had a number of energy audits that have been performed by, I keep thinking National Grid. Anyway, they've been performed. Now, there's also something that Jason Lind from the school department, he's really been proactive with trying to reduce our energy usage for the school buildings.
Okay.
And what he's done in the past, probably in the last couple of years, is some projects for the lighting to reduce from T12s to T8s.
Right.
Anyway, how far back can we go to use what he's done to help us go forward?
Okay, well, it's going to depend on when they were done. It's going to depend on when Abington actually would consider submitting an application.
Oh, I see.
Every application period, the baseline that you're allowed to go to gets a little bit closer to the present.
Okay.
And so if if the town decided to apply in the fall of this year, we're usually looking at, sometimes we let towns go back as far as 2 fiscal years and even a little bit more.
Okay. Also during a presentation, you mentioned an energy management program, I think, that you're a part of. Is that to help the cities or the communities for projects that are out of their reach, so to speak, financially?
Oh, for energy services
Yes.
performance contracts?
Yes.
Yeah, well, our role in that is that if you're talking to an ESCO, which is an energy services company,
Sure.
In terms of the contractual negotiations and things that are going on, we can offer technical assistance to make sure that there aren't any items in the contract that basically are not allowed by law. But the town, would solicit through some type of RFP or RFQ to see if companies were interested in coming in and doing certain types of work here in Abington as part of a performance contract.
Has there been any of the communities around us that you've been able to work with?
Marshfield's doing some right now. There's I can't think of any of the smaller towns right now. There's some performance contracting going on in Pembroke.
Okay.
So there are examples not too far away.
Okay.
That and I always advocate that the town administration, elected officials, and volunteers talk to people in the towns that are already doing this type of work, so they can get a real feel for what's working on the local level and what's not.
That's great. One more thing as far as the grants money, you mentioned that you get so much per year once you reach this designation. Is there a cap on that?
Okay, so there is a cap, and the way it works is that the initial designation grant is a lump sum.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that every year,
Okay.
but you're eligible once you've spent all your grant money from your initial designation, once you've done all of your reporting and record keeping, and once all the work has been installed,
Okay.
then annually towns are eligible for what are called competitive grants. And those grants right now are limited to $250,000 per year per municipality.
Oh, wow, okay.
But that's more money than probably a town the size of Abington is currently available and eligible for as their initial designation grant.
Once it's designated, have you seen any projects that really have been beneficial as the town move forward with their energy reduction plan?
Yeah, sure. I mean, our grant money is a little, we'll help to pay for things that have a little bit longer payback periods than, a strict business decision might make,
Okay.
So we've helped in the town of Easton, for instance, we helped them get a boiler installed in town hall. There's all sorts of, energy management systems,
Right.
Updating and modernization of systems and equipment, helping with lighting, LED street lighting also in a town like Easton. Simple stuff too, like in Hanover, we paid for insulated doors at the fire station for the bay doors.
Wow.
And that's been a huge hit. It's helped them save a lot of energy dollars at the fire station. And the firefighters love them because the bays are warmer in the summer.
Right.
Warmer in the winter. Excuse me.
The
And they're cooler in the summer. So
Sure.
yeah.
All right. Well, again, to have your department help, say for example, the town of Abington prior to reaching this status, is there any way? I believe you mentioned you can help us with like energy management systems. Now, basically, I have an HVAC background, so that just helps to control the units and as far as the heating and cooling to really reduce your energy usage. But my question is, will you be able to help us prior to reaching this designation or not?
We can help you with certain resources. The grant money isn't available until
Right.
you're designated.
Mm-hmm.
So other things, I'm always available.
Okay.
So if I can help make the connection between, say, Grid and Columbia Gas, to see what may be good options for some of your buildings. I also learned when I was here last Friday that you're in the process of assessing school building needs.
Right.
That's another area where your building committee and the people that are involved with design of your new school should already be talking with National Grid
Okay.
in terms of designing energy efficiency into that building.
Well, I hope so,
as
right.
as you work with your architect and
Sure.
your building committee.
Exactly. That's great.
Yep.
Well, Seth, I really can't thank you enough for taking the time to be with us today. It's really awesome to have you here.
It's
and I thank you
my
once
pleasure.
again.
Come back anytime.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well, that's it for our show today. We thank you for joining us. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to visit our website. And again, leave a comment. We'll be very happy to receive it. Thank you so much and have a great day.